Good morning, everyone. And
Good morning.
Good morning.
course, my nose is blocked. I think let's do Soul's Temple first, so that at least I'm uh, in a better position to talk. So usually for me, I won't. Yeah, I would go to the symptom whatever is showing up, but I'm generally more into okay, what does it make me feel? So it's like stuffed. Okay, I'm feeling stuffed in my nose, and it's like finding it difficult to breathe. Okay, so if this is the, like, what do you call that, symptom, and like I can hear the sound that the breath is not easily going into my, you know, respiratory tract. So I would just, like, this is how I, like, okay, now this can be a good example as a demo, how to work on yourself. Okay, so feeling stuffed in my nose, and I add difficulty in breathing because, like, I do Soul Temple every day, so it's much faster. So feeling stuffed in my nose and my difficulty in breathing is my Soul Temple. Feeling stuffed in my nose and my difficulty in breathing is my Soul Temple. Feeling stuffed in my nose and my difficulty in breathing is my Soul Temple. Feeling stuffed in my nose and my difficulty in breathing is my Soul Temple. Feeling stuffed in my nose and my difficulty in breathing is my Soul Temple. Feeling stuffed in my nose and my difficulty in breathing is my Soul Temple. Feeling stuffed in my nose and my difficulty in breathing is my Soul Temple. Feeling stuffed in my nose and my difficulty in breathing is my Soul Temple. Feeling stuffed in my nose and my difficulty in breathing is my Soul Temple. Feeling stuffed in my nose and my difficulty in breathing is my Soul Temple. Feeling stuffed in my nose and my difficulty in breathing is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and find it difficult to breathe is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and breathe with difficulty is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and breathe with difficulty is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and breathe with difficulty is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and breathe with difficulty is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and breathe with difficulty is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and breathe with difficulty is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and breathe with difficulty is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and breathe with difficulty is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and breathe with difficulty is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and breathe with difficulty is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and breathe with difficulty is my Soul Temple. My need to feel stuffed and breathe with difficulty is my Soul Temple. My resistance to let go of the stuffed feeling and breathe free is my Soul Temple. My resistance to let go of the stuffed feeling and breathe freely is my Soul Temple. My resistance to let go of the stuffed feeling and breathe freely is my Soul Temple. My resistance to let go of the stuffed feeling and breathe freely is my Soul Temple. My resistance to let go of the stuffed feeling and breathe freely is my Soul Temple. My resistance to let go of the stuffed feeling and breathe freely is my Soul Temple. My resistance to let go of the stuffed feeling and breathe freely is my Soul Temple. My resistance to let go of the stuffed feeling and breathe freely is my Soul Temple. My resistance to let go of the stuffed feeling and breathe freely is my Soul Temple. My resistance to let go of the stuffed feeling and breathe freely is my Soul Temple. My resistance to let go of the stuffed feeling and breathe freely is my Soul Temple. My resistance to let go of the stuffed feeling and breathe freely is my Soul Temple. So my stuffed feeling has gone down, and I still have a little difficulty in breathing, and I mean the air is going inside, but it's like it's as if almost there is like a, like, pollution is the word that is coming to me. Like how when air pollution is there, what it feels like, right? The congestion, Okay, cool. So the air pollution and congestion I'm feeling, I'm perceiving is my soul's temple. The air pollution and the congestion I'm perceiving is my soul's temple. The air pollution and the congestion I'm perceiving is my soul's temple. The air pollution and congestion I'm perceiving is my soul's temple. The air pollution and congestion I'm perceiving is my soul's temple. The air pollution and the congestion I'm perceiving is my soul's temple. The air pollution and the congestion I'm perceiving is my soul's temple. The air pollution and the congestion I'm perceiving is my soul's temple. The air pollution and the congestion I'm perceiving is my soul's temple. The air pollution and congestion I'm perceiving is my soul's temple. The air pollution and congestion I'm perceiving is my soul's temple. Wow, okay. I'm going to continue the two statements, but I've got some insight already, but I'll still continue. My need for this air pollution and my need to perceive the air pollution and congestion is my soul's temple. My need to perceive the air pollution and congestion is my soul's temple. My need to perceive the air pollution and congestion is my soul's temple. My need to perceive the air pollution and congestion is my soul's temple. My need to perceive the air pollution and congestion is my soul's temple. My need to perceive the air pollution and congestion is my soul's temple. My need to perceive the air pollution and the congestion is my soul's temple. My need to perceive the air pollution and the congestion is my soul's temple. My need to perceive the air pollution and the congestion is my soul's temple. My need to perceive the air pollution and congestion is my soul's temple. My need to perceive the air pollution and congestion is my soul's temple. My resistance to be free from this air pollution and congested feeling is my soul's temple. My resistance to be free from this air pollution and congested feeling is my soul's temple. My resistance to be free from this air pollution and congested feeling is my soul's temple. My resistance to be free from this air pollution and congested feeling is my soul's temple. My resistance to be free from this air pollution and congested feeling is my soul's temple. My resistance to be free from this air pollution and congested feeling is my soul's temple. My resistance to be free from this air pollution and congested feeling is my soul's temple. My resistance to be free from this air pollution and congested feeling is my soul's temple. My resistance to be free from this air pollution and congested feeling is my soul's temple. My resistance to be free from this air pollution and congested feeling is my soul's temple. My resistance to be free from this air pollution and congested feeling is my soul's temple. Okay, so now I'm breathing quite freely, but then I want to share the insight that I received. The insight that I received maybe when I was 7 years old. My mom used to have these asthmatic attacks. I mean, before that also she used to have. But what I perceived was 7-year-old. See, when I talk about it, there's a charge to it. So as a kid, probably I just wanted to understand what's going on with her. And so I also used to get these frequent cold and cough and heavy breathing. At that time, I mean, people will say it's bronchitis or something like that. And most of the people, okay, am I audible? Am I audible now? Okay, cool. I just, the power is gone off. Power cut again. So I've switched on my hotspot. Okay. So in order to understand what my mother's going through, because as a kid, you won't know why she's breathing heavily and why she needs an inhaler. For the longest period of time, she had asthma ever since my elder brother was born. Okay. So children always tend to want to know what's going on with their parents, why they're unwell, or why they're unhappy, or why there is something that the kids perceive and they don't know what to do with that. But they just want to know what's going on with my mother or what's going on with my father. And that is very common. It's not like only, oh, I did that. Everybody does. All children do it. So, in order to understand what's going on with your parents, you invite the same symptoms in your body. You invite the same kind of thoughts, feelings, emotions in your body. And that is why later on it becomes a hereditary disease. Because otherwise, if you don't think the same way, if you don't feel the same way like your parents do, if you don't emote the same way as your parents do, if you don't mimic them, you will not get any hereditary disease. In this moment in time at 49, I have zero, not at 49, I think ever since, I think after the age of 25, I have not had any disease. Okay, even when I was not into healing, because I just completely changed my track of changing tracks, right? Change my track of the way I look at life, the way I think, the way I feel, everything. That's when my daughter was born. I was 25. I was 21 when my son was born. I was just 20 when I got married. So I had a child marriage. And I was 20 when I got married by, I think in my head, I was only 8 years old. Anyway, so the 7-year-old kid, that was the image that came to me when so what happens when you do regularly Soul Chapel, the memory, where is it coming from, that will pop up. So when it pops up, you just have to go into that memory and okay, what's going on inside me, not about other people. It's what's going on inside me. Oh, I'm trying to understand what's happening with my mom. Why is she breathing so heavily? And when you say, why is this person feeling this way? You automatically ask the universe, show me how it is. Why there is so suffering, why there is so much suffering in the universe. Okay, you have it too. So that you can understand why there is so much suffering. So these are the questions we unconsciously, unknowingly, we do ask, and then we do see why. We get to see why. For example, okay, if this is a bottle and it broke, I'm like, oh God, how can it break? Now there'll be another bottle that will break and you'll know how it breaks. So, the universe has a great sense of humor. And we have a lot of stupid questions. We all want to know why. So, and that's thanks to Access Consciousness. When I came to Access and when I heard Gary the first time, that don't ask why. Why will keep looping you back into the past. That was when I realized that, why are we asking why? Instead, what is it that we want to know? How to change it? So rather ask, how can I change this? But of course, at that time, I didn't know that. So I'm going back there as a kid, and because my nose is free already, but there's just a little part that is a little blocked. Okay, there is no stuffing feeling. Now I can breathe freely also. So there's this just a tiny little part at the top of here, this area, which is still, there is something over there. Okay. Okay. My mother's asthma is my soul's temple. My mother's asthmatic attack 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 is my soul's temple. My need to understand what's going on inside of her is my soul's temple. My need to understand what's going on inside of her is my soul's temple. My need to understand what's going on inside of her is my soul's temple. My need to understand what's going on inside of her is my soul's temple. My need to understand what's going on inside of her is my soul's temple. My need to understand what's going on inside of her is my soul's temple. My need to understand what's going on inside of her is my soul's temple. My need to understand what's going on inside of her is my soul's temple. My need to understand what's going on inside of her is my soul's temple. My need to understand what's going on inside of her is my soul's temple. My need to understand what's going on inside of her is my soul's temple. My need to understand what's going on inside of her is my soul's temple. Cool. So what I never could ever sense before, today, because I have worked so much with people, that now when I'm saying my need to understand, I can actually get into her space and understand what's going on inside of her without taking that symptom inside me. That's a brilliance of doing so much of self-work. So what today I got was very different than what I ever knew about her. So it says, like, it just says, like, her, when I connect to her, what I get is like, so whenever there would be like so much of, there would be so many people in our house. We were in a huge joint family. She's all the time cooking and entertaining guests and this and that. So whenever there's so much of pollution in the, well, that's why the pollution and congested. In the noises around and the way people behave and everything. And whenever she couldn't retaliate or whenever she couldn't speak up or stand up for herself. And when she felt very, like, that claustrophobic, she would not be able to speak, she would not be able to breathe, because breath is also an outlet, right? You inhale, you exhale. And when you're not able to inhale and you're not able to exhale, what's going on is too difficult to handle, and then you're not able to breathe it out either. And now there's this stuckness inside. So now here what happens as I grow up, and when I know I can heal, and I've kind of, even I think as a child I could heal. Because all these children who are not born like regular children, like I was not like a regular child. So definitely I know from my own work that I was a born healer. So there were many, many ways I used to heal that time when I didn't know healing. So children who are autistic and children who have some special abilities, through family constellation also I know that they come this weird and different and not so normal, in order to draw all the attention of everybody on them and in order to heal the whole family. Because there's a lot of dysfunctionality in the universe. And when I'm saying dysfunctionality, it's not just my mom and my dad, it's about my whole clan, my family, which I could sense even as a kid, but a kid can't voice out. Or maybe even if the kid voices out, nobody will listen. So yeah, these were the questions which used to be there a lot in my mind. Why people are behaving this way? Why people are doing this? Why people are like this? And funnily, when I did the shadow workshop, and when I integrated the shadow side, okay, what is my shadow in it? And what have I disowned about me or rejected about me, which if I integrate, all this won't be a problem for me anymore. And that is why I think after that I felt very relieved, And yesterday, maybe a deeper layer opened up when Rita must have done the SOP. A deeper layer to, okay, this is a shadow. This is, I disowned it. But then the deeper layers, why it all it got created in the first place. And that's why, see, this is awareness. Me asking, before even I did the shadow workshop, I asked Rita for the SOP, as if, now when you're completely being present with yourself and you're completely aware, you almost know when to ask for, what to do, what not to do, and how the body will feel good. And so if I already somewhere knew that, okay, this will be required. So then yesterday, she did the SOP in the night. She said, I'll do it day after night. So that deeper layer has been addressed and it's coming up because it is anyways there somewhere inside. Okay. All these things, how much ever we want to say that, oh, it just happened yesterday. I mean, just today only I'm feeling stuff because the weather was bad and everything. Now, these are things which we generally will do. Oh, cyclone ho raha hai, that is why I'm getting this. But I never get this. I've never got this in 10 years in any cyclone or any rainy season. Why did I get this today? Right? So this is where the deeper layers of whatever we have integrated, we integrated some part of me that day, but then there may be deeper layers to it. And that deeper layer needed to come up and get healed. And so this SOP and then whatever has come up and, this morning, the way it is. Why am I giving that much details? Because for everybody to recognize that when you're working on yourself, there can be times one day you're feeling like super elated and second day you might just feel very low. And second day something might come up because some deeper layer unfolds. Instead of feeling bad about why, oh, yesterday I was so elated, what happened just today? And instead of making yourself wrong, because I don't make myself wrong anymore for anything, honestly. Even if it's my demons or some part of me which I have not integrated yet, or if it is some part of me which is unhealed yet, I have absolutely no shame, absolutely nothing to talk about it. I'm absolutely raw, vulnerable. And I can say that, yeah, because if all of us are human and we came here to experience human sides. So I may have a ugly side, I may have a beautiful side, I may have an angelic side, I may have a demonic side. All of that is a part and parcel of me. And I completely, totally and completely accept myself the way I am. That's a reason I can sit like this, whether I've combed my hair or not, whether I'm wearing a earring or not, whether I put on makeup or not. I've not put on anything. I just rushed because the time was important for me and then I was already getting late. So now what does this do? This freedom of totally accepting yourself. You don't have to be a certain way. And when you don't have to be a certain way in front of anybody, it's not like in front of one person, I behave a certain way and in front of another, I don't. I am this way with everybody. And anybody who can't handle that, I tell them, you can just leave. I know it sounds arrogant, but that's how I am now. That, if you're not comfortable with who I am, you can leave. To come to this space, right, from a extreme level of people pleaser, that I want everybody in my life, and at the cost of my health, at the cost of my mental space, at the cost of everything, but I want you in my life. From there to a space of like, this is who I am. And not from a space of I'm superior and you're inferior. No, it's not like that. It's like, okay, I'm different. I have something which is not like everybody. Like how yesterday I told in the call, if it's a mental handicap, there are things that I can deal with and there are things that I cannot deal with. Now, I have beaten myself up all my life for not being a certain way, for not having filters when I talk. But I don't have filters. Like, I don't know. my mind doesn't function that way. So I cannot talk with filters. And then everybody like, बिल्कुल अक्ल नहीं है, कुछ भी कहीं पे भी बोल देती है, किसी से भी बात कर लेती है. All my life I've heard, I mean, so many of these things. Okay. Until I actually, on the journey of healing, when I got to know, okay, what is autism and what is ADHD and all of that. And like literally in one of a cognitive behavioral therapy workshop, like with Kirti Bakshi, metaphor therapy, I was like, anything she would say, whether it's OCD, whether it's this, whether it's that, everything would feel as if I have all of that. But then I went up to her and in a very sad tone, I told her, मेरे को तो ऐसा लगता है कि मैं तो पूरे एक प्रॉब्लम का पुलिंदा हूँ. Like this is the word I used. कि मैं कभी ठीक ही नहीं हो सकती हूँ. What was I aware of even then? That yeah, there are certain parts जो कभी ठीक नहीं हो सकते. They are the way they are. You don't need to change them. So जो चीज कभी ठीक नहीं हो सकती उसको बदलने की जरूरत नहीं, उसको समझने की जरूरत है कि ये कभी ठीक क्यों नहीं हो रहा है, right? And when you do that, right, with kindness, do that with kindness unto yourself. I mean, you expect the world to be kind to you, but are you kind to yourself? Is the question. And when you are not kind to yourself, what do you think? How is anybody else going to be kind? And how is anybody else going to, who is genuinely kind, how are you going to receive that? Because you don't know what kindness means. You've been so, because everybody taught you to be hard on yourself. Everybody has been hard on you, and you don't know any other way. And where do you learn it from? Your mother and your father. Not that they are hard on you. Yes, they are too, that too. But they are hard on themselves. When I be kind with me, I teach my children to be kind with themselves. Because children follow actions, they don't follow words. They see your actions, they don't see your words. If my mother is breathing with difficulty, I don't see what she's saying every day, that, oh, I'm doing all this work very happily for everybody. Because it makes everybody happy. That is the words. But the body is saying something else, that I'm fucking congested and stuffed with this pollution around me. And what is the pollution? Everybody, everybody, I can like say it clear and loud right now, because I'm not fearful anymore. The people around us were like literally trying to extract everything they could and give nothing in return. No help also. Nobody used to come and help her also in her like crazily. She used to cook for that many people, and everybody used to just have fun. And then she was the person who was alone, like, because she loved cooking, and she's a great cook. She can cook better than the, chefs, like the bigger chefs, the names that we know. I used to tell her after growing up a little bit कि अगर आप है ना ये सब घर वालों को कुकिंग खाली कर करके नहीं खिलाते, और अगर आप रेसिपी बुक और लिखते और अगर आप अपने आप को थोड़ा प्रमोट करते, तो आप तरला दलाल या उससे कुछ ऊपर चले जाते. And trust you me, this is not just me. Everybody knows who knows my mom. She makes these chappan bhogs for Krishna in Janamashtami. So 56 types of sweets, that many types of namkeen, that many types of things. She's a marvelous cook. I could never match up to her cooking skills because I was just not interested. Because I saw the pros and the con of it. So I was like, I'm not going to cook for people. I don't want to make myself sick. Now that is also an association, right? So I don't entertain guests. I mean, I did as long as I was married in a joint family, and because my brother-in-law also was very fond of bringing guests home. So every day we used to have people, and every day, like morning to evening, cooking. And because that was my biggest, what I resisted. So it persisted for a very long time. But as long as you keep resisting, it will persist. And so I had to cook. I have also cooked a lot for 15 years of my married life. That was like of course it was necessity, compulsion, everything. No choice there. But that was a huge thing for me that I don't like to cook, honestly. Like I can eat out every day, without having to cook even one day. People might think, oh my God, what is this like? How can you be so averse? It's not averse. Now it's like, not interested. And what I'm not interested in, I would not put my energy into that. Only when my children come home, I cook for them. They are the only people in the world for whom I love to cook, even today. When my daughter will get, Mama, yaar, ye bana doge kya? Yes, that I will do. And that I do with a lot of love. Some couple of people whom I really, really genuinely love, for them, I have gone and cooked in their houses also. Now, that is only out of love. I would not do anything which I'm not, where I don't feel the love inside me when I'm doing it. Not anymore. Not like a duty. I don't do anything like a duty. Like when I'm coming here also, I do it with a lot of love. It's not like a duty for me that I have to come and do this healing and all this crap. It's just, everything I do it with love. It's a great space to be in, that when you know when you're not operating out of love. So coming back to, this trying to understand my mom. Now, because I've already spoken so much, my adult self is standing and looking at my mom in my imagination. I'm not, now it's no more the 7-year-old kid who's watching like, okay, what's going on, like that, bewildered look, oh my God, she can't breathe. What is going on inside of her? That shocked feeling is not there anymore. Now it's like I'm seeing myself, like now I am. And, it's almost like I want to go and place my hand over her head and, tell her that relax. Like, now this is the way, it's so beautiful. Like, I'm grateful for this coming up. I'm sure after I talk to Rita today, I would know what exactly came up. But I know something has opened up, which is not only going to heal in me, but it's also going to heal. So this is the beauty. When you are self-aware and you're healing yourself, right? Everything that happens to you, everything that you do is a contribution to everybody. Now, this call, what I'm doing on today's call, I've not done in any of the calls. If it wouldn't have gone, I wouldn't be doing it. So people wouldn't know the way to do self-healing with Soul's Temple in a deeper way. So maybe this was what the universe wanted to show to everybody, that, okay, this is also one way of working with Soul's Temple. So now in my imagination, when I touch her body, right? It's almost like nobody looks at me with that warmth. I'm talking about my mom's feeling. It's like, wow, it's like everybody's so cold. Okay, it's like, so it's almost like in my imagination, I'm putting my hand over her chest now, apart from her head. And, how we do these SOPs and stuff like that. So all my life, I used to think that my mother never appreciates me. I mean, that was my big time complaint with her. She never hugged me. She's not a touch person at all, because a lot of religious beliefs and all of that. What I perceived right now is that nobody ever touched her with a lot of caring and love. Nobody ever appreciated her so much work she used to do. Nobody ever appreciated what she was doing. Everybody felt that this is her job. Right? That's how heartless we could be with the family members whom we take for granted. And I know the amount of work she used to do. Like, this is not exaggeration. Not everybody can do that. She herself is not aware of the tremendous capacities that she has. I used to think like she's a superwoman. Like, I know of one time when she had a fracture in the toes without going to the doctor, without anything. She just tied a cloth. And because 1 week later was Janmashtami, morning 4 a.m. she would wake up, until night 12:30 she would be doing all the sweets that she has to cook for Krishna. For the whole week, till the Janmashtami, there were 70 people coming home and eating the prasad. 70. And in the toe fracture also, she will continue. I asked Yuvraj one day, my teacher, that what is this? Like, why doesn't she get that her body is hurting? And why is she so careless about the body? And what is this like itna bhakti of God that you don't even see what's going on inside of you? So Yuvraj very beautifully, because then he taught me this thing, right? The emotional genetics, which I spoke about one of these days. So he said, Bandana, she's come with a different journey. You can't stop her from that. She's completely on a different journey. You will never be able to get where she's operating from. You're looking at it from your point of view, but from her, for her, she's doing everything for Krishna. She's doing all this thing for Krishna, and she doesn't even care, like that. For example, like a Meera or a Bhakt who's just completely devoted, in love with Krishna, and doesn't care what's people are beating me, or people are abusing me, or people are cold to me, or people are not appreciating me. All that the physical mind and body would have hurt. That is why the physical symptoms. But her level of love and devotion from the beginning, in the school times, her father died when she was only 5 years old, just 5 years old. She has had times of her life where they used to have only the starch of the rice and rice, that's all, to eat. Nothing else. I have heard these stories. Thankfully, I've never seen that kind of a position. And her mother, because my mom lost her father when she was 5 years old, and she had an elder brother who was only 10 then, and then was another brother who was 8 years, and there was a younger sister who was only 6 months old when the father passed away. And my nani, which is my mother's mother, in those days they were so strict with widows that the widowed life was wearing only white sari with a thin, this kind of a line, just one line of brown, no other colors. You're not supposed to wear any color after your husband dies. So she lived till I was born. So for say 16 years of her life, she didn't wear anything but a white sari. She didn't have hair more than this much, because it was not allowed. You're not supposed to look beautiful after your husband has died. No ornaments, no nothing in the ears and hands, and nothing. Okay, so no ornaments, no slippers, no wearing slippers. You're supposed to only walk barefoot, even if it's hot, even if it's anything. So that was the way she was walking all her life for 16 years. She can't sleep on a bed. बिस्तर पे नहीं सो सकते हो, your husband is dead, so you have to sleep on the floor on that floor mat, the chatai. So cold, rain, some heat, everything for 16 years after her husband died, my grandmother led this guy. You're not entitled to have any good food. You're not entitled to look beautiful. You're not entitled to wear colorful clothes. You're not entitled to have any kind of a comfort, not even luxury. No bed, no slippers. Just imagine. And she being the very religious, traditional person, she didn't violate any of those. She never even tried to. For 16 years, can you imagine a woman living every day like this? And still, her job is to do everything for other people. All the relatives and everybody in the family, she has to cook, she has to do everything, everything. So, what did my mother see growing up? That you got to sacrifice. You got to sacrifice everything and do things for others at the cost of you. So she saw that, she showed that only. She did that only. Thankfully, I mean, financially, my dad was not that bad. And so he gave the comfort that he could. But then, how could he take away her choice of sacrifice and devotion, sacrifice, doing things for others? He couldn't take that choice away from her. So, whatever it, everything has a brilliance. I'm not telling all this to criticize who they are. Today, I can look at it from the brilliance of all of it. And that is why I always used to have a complaint. She never appreciated, she never hugged me. Oh my God. There was a therapy that I got done, Dance on Trance with Asha Warrior. I cried. I said, my mom never hugged me in my life. Okay. But nobody even hugged her, right? Because she didn't hug anybody. She never gave herself the permission to hug anybody. Nobody hugged her either. So she didn't even know what a hug means, actually. Because in those days, you're not supposed to hug and all that, right? Now, these are like very stupid traditions which people followed in those. See, the ancient times have their own brilliance. I know the brilliance of many things that they did and they lived the way they were. But I'm talking about the other side, everything, the shadow side, right? There is a shadow side everywhere. So even in who my grandmother was, or my grandfather was, or my mother was, my father was, they didn't know how hard they are on themselves and how much they are trying to please others at the cost of themselves. So much. Everybody is important except me, except my body. Why? Because body to nashwar hai. Spirit has to connect to God. Can the spirit connect to God without this body? Like, I have had conversations later on with my mom, say 25 years down the lane, when I told her कि कोई कृष्णा आके ये नहीं बोलता है कि तुम अपने शरीर का नाश करके मुझसे जुड़ो. मैं बोली कौन सी भगवत गीता में ये लिखा हुआ है मुझे बताओ. As a kid, I didn't have that ability to question that, right? So she got very angry when I asked her that. हाँ तू बहुत बड़ी हो गई, तू ज्यादा समझदार हो गई, तेरे को ज्यादा पता है. तू मेरे पे सवाल करेगी. But that's how they are, right? But I remember, when I have hugged my mother, just last year. That too, bahane se, like directly, I don't know how to go and hug her. Bahane se, I told my niece, chal photo khichna hai. I got a beautiful sari for her 70th birthday. I told her to wear that sari and said, chalo photo khichte. And then I hugged her like this. And then I told my niece to click a picture. That's the first time I've hugged my mom. Can you imagine? Because that's how it is. And my dad, I've not ever hugged, even today. It's out of question.
It shouldn't be difficult for you, Didi, now at all.
Now
You
I
can
can.
directly go and do it. Nothing is stopping you actually. How
So
things have changed.
the thing is, all these things, how much they were hard on their bodies. And
Mm.
that's why that many diseases. That's why asthma. That's why this. That's why that. So for me, right now, when I went into that soul temple, when I touched her and everything, whatever I perceived, if I go back there right now, it's almost as if the soul has got relief because it has got acknowledged for everything. So sometimes, especially women are so beautiful, right? They can do everything for you, and all they need is just one acknowledgement. That's the beauty of being a woman. Like I'm so proud I'm a woman. Like every woman, I'm proud of every woman I know. They will do everything. They'll wake up in the morning, they'll cook for you, they'll wash your laundry, they'll make you happy, they'll pleasure you in sex, they will not ask for themselves, all of that. I'm not saying from the perspective of, oh, women should be like they must be people who are sacrificing. No, I'm not talking from that perspective. I'm saying women are beautiful, period. All they need, if whoever men are listening to this call, you know, I think you should tell all the men to listen to this call. All a woman needs is just that acknowledgement at the end of the day. Oh, you're doing so much for me. Oh, you're doing so much for my family, which they don't get. All they get is, after doing so much, what are you doing? You don't even know this. You don't even do this. Or you didn't do that. Or you didn't do this properly. Wow, right? Yeah, I mean, so when we are healing ourselves, we are healing our parents as well, and their parents as well. When we are healing ourselves, we are changing the track for our children. Our children won't have to go through what my mom or my nani or my dadi or anybody had.
Dadi.
That is why self healing, whoever takes initiative, whether it's me in my family or anybody else, doesn't matter. Even one person who takes up this journey of healing self, be any modality, they are helping generations to heal, generations before and generations after. And then what do we do also to ourselves? So the people who are doing self healing, like our moms only, will do all the work. And when anybody says that ये ठीक से नहीं हुआ, ये तो किया ही नहीं, all of that, immediately the woman will go into the wrongness. Oh shit, अब अगली बार कर दूंगी. Next time ठीक से करूंगी. So even as a healer, like I'm just correlating the same thing with the healing. So after doing 10 years of healing, मान लो कि अगर आज मेरी तबीयत खराब है, and if somebody comes to, how can it be possible? But then after 10 years of healing, how can you have a stuffed nose? Oh, next time I shouldn't have. Oh, next time I must take care that on the call I should never have a stuffed nose. No, boss. I'm absolutely okay. I'm liberated in my mind. I don't have any expectations that I have to be a certain way. Because I know that these expectations and these projections of people create so much separation of you with you, and these judgments, and that book of access consciousness: projections, expectations, separations, judgments, and rejections. How much we reject ourselves because of the projected um, you know reality, and the expected reality, and the judged reality, and the way you were judged, and the way you judge. and you separate from yourself and you reject you. I don't reject me anymore. I've done that, been there, done that for a very long time in my life. Not anymore, not for anybody. And when I say I love me, I genuinely love myself. And I trust that when I love me, I love my God. Because God is not outside of me. God is not that murti jiski main puja kar rahi hu. God is here in me.
Within me.
And when I'm hurting me, I'm hurting my God. I have no right to do that. He feels very hurt when I'm hurt. Just like a parent feels very hurt when a child is hurt, he's also there. He feels very hurt when I'm hurt. He didn't tell that get hurt and then come to me. No. He never said that. He said, I'm here. And which means when I'm with you, where is the question of hurt? When I'm with you, then everything is going to be fine. That faith, that genuine faith that, yeah, I have him behind my back. Nothing is going to be so problematic that I can't handle. And that bit, I'm not denying that my mom has that faith. Not that she doesn't. She has, I think, 100 times more faith than me. And that's why she could take all the thrashings and the beatings in the sense, not the physical beatings, but the mental and emotional clutter. So much hurt in the body still go on because somewhere she has a thing that, okay, the divine is taking care of me. But at the same time, what these people don't recognize, those are so hard on their bodies, that unless your body is at ease, your soul is not going to find ease. Before and after death, both. Physical health, mental health has to be a priority. Whether we like it, whether we don't like it, it has to be a priority, because when we are involved in say, for example, if I'm doing Soul Temple today, and if I'm unwell and I'll say, isko jaane do, pehle ye zaruri hai. Will I be able to be 100% here? Not possible. But if I first addressed my stuffed nose without putting any, mask on it, I said, okay, fine. Today I'm having a stuffed nose. Let's work on it. When I finish that, then I'm going to be 100% present here with you. And that's the same with the God also. When you're so unwell and when the body is paining so much, how can you be 100% present with the God that you're worshipping outside? You are God. You are an extension of God. अंश, आप एक अंश हो भगवान के, और एक अंश जब ठीक है तो भगवान is also perfect. Like he's absolutely fine. It hurts him. It doesn't make him feel happy. I mean, there are stories of Krishna and Sudama was living a life of like a very miserable poverty life for years, and he kept doing Krishna, but that was not what Krishna wanted. When he met Krishna, then his life changed. But when Krishna showed him that, okay, this is your ego that you didn't come to me for all these years. You didn't come to me for all these years. You thought that, oh, this is the life that I have to live. And just my connecting to Krishna is saying Krishna's name. No, but actually when he went to Krishna and he asked for what he required, in whichever way he asked, his wife asked or whatever it was, his wife was instrumental in Sudama going to Krishna and asking that, okay, I'm fed up of this life of poverty. Whether he asked or he didn't ask, what was his language is not the question. The thing is, life changed the very next day. And that is Krishna. Do we believe that Krishna doesn't have anything to give to us? And that's why we have to live in this poor space? He has everything. But we think, oh, this is what I can get. Only this much. Oh, my karma. Nothing. Krishna can clear all karmas if at all if you believe that there is a higher power. That higher power has the capacity that in a fraction of a second, every problem of yours can go away. But are you willing to receive that? Are you willing to even ask for that? Or you want to be egoistic that I have to go through these challenges, only then I will learn. Yeah, Baban, ask.
I wrote in the chat also, like you just came to the point that when you like actually like you're so beaten up, you try to please people, like you were sharing your example of your mother. And when it comes to like you've pleased people, you've done everything, but when you sometimes ask for help, you feel something like just comes up to you and you're so much ridiculed that you make yourself wrong for even asking.
Correct. That is true. But if one person is not going to help, are there more people in the world?
Absolutely.
That is the problem. We fix it that only this person has to help me. Who is my father or my husband or my brother or my mother? If they are not capable, if they are incapable of supporting you or helping you, ask help from someone else, man. Let somebody else do that, but ask and acknowledge and receive. There are so many people out there. Like I keep telling this to other people also. There is, Ranjali comes on call and she talks about her daughters not supporting. I said, but how many daughters are supporting on these calls? Can we acknowledge that? Why are we so fixed that only my daughter or my son or my husband or what is this my kuch hai bhi kya actually? I mean, everybody must go to Vipassana 10 days and वो मैं और मेरा जो है ना दिमाग में भरा हुआ ये मैं और ये मेरा nothing ना तो तुम ना मैं है ना मेरा है कोई नहीं है सब it's just nothing. It's just an illusion of the mind. ना मैं हूं ना मेरा कोई है ना मेरा कुछ है. ये हमारे दिमाग की एक उपज है कि ये मेरा बच्चा, ये मेरे परिवार वाले, मेरा 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 मेरा. When you get out of the man, the mera, right? Then everything is universal. There is universal love. And then I've done Vipassana twice and I know both the times what difference that created for me. And like literally when you get out of the mera, like yesterday, the Bhagavad Gita, there is a group which I'm a part of, awareness group. And in that, right, there's this one person named Anand. I don't know him at all. The group, I know the person who created the group. So in that group, he every day puts one shloka of Bhagavad Gita, okay? Every day he'll put one shloka of Bhagavad Gita with its explanation. And because it's so dear to my heart, I don't follow other things on the group, but I definitely read that bit every day. And this, right now, what's going on in that group is my favorite chapter, which is the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. 12th chapter is the shortest chapter. It's 20 slokas. And it's the most beautiful form of connecting to the divine through bhakti. It's the bhakti yoga. It's about the bhakti yoga. Okay. So the 12th chapter, 18th, 17th and 18th verse. No, this is, okay, I'm just reading the 18th and 19th verse. These are like my findings that these are equivalent to the clearing statement. Like the right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all and shots, boys and beyonds of access consciousness is equivalent to this one shloka that I'm going to read right now. You'll like, I know the energy of both. I'm not saying that instead of right, wrong, good, bad, say this. No, I'm not saying all of that. I'm just saying the energy is similar. Okay. So it says, Sam shatro cha mitre cha tatha manapamanayo shitoshna sukh dukkheshu sam sanga vivarjita tulya ninda stutir mauni santushto yena kenachit aniketa stir matir bhakti man me priyo naraha. Okay, now, so what is sam shatru cha mitre cha? Which means equal-minded towards friends and enemies. Then, cha tatha man apamanayo. So equal-minded in honor and disgrace. Then sheet oshna sukh dukheshu, which means heat and cold, pleasure and pain. I'm equal-minded. Who is free from attachment, of that, any of these things, that, oh, right now it's cold, right now it's hot, it's right now it's, oh, this one honored me, this one disgraced me, this is my friend and this is my enemy. Who is silent, who is satisfied with whatever he gets, who has no particular home, who is decided in the mind, who is devoted to me, such a man is dear to me. So what is no particular home? Means that is aniketa. Aniketa sthirmatir. That's the second one, the second verse, okay? It's, aniket means no place where you're dwelling permanently. Means you don't have a home, okay? Niketa means your home, a place that you dwell. Okay, one who has no particular home is called aniket. Okay, tulya ninda, which is praises or criticism. Stutir mauni means whether people, tulya, a comparison, sorry, whether people are comparing you, whether people are praising you, or whether people are criticizing you, you're just silent in your being, maun, right? Santushto yena kenachit. In all of this, you're santusht. You have this fulfillment and satisfied feeling. Okay. Aniket sthirmati. Sthirmati. Anywhere you be, which is the place, any place that you dwell, you have a sthir, stable mind. Right? Sthirmati. Bhakti man mein priyo na raha. So that kind of a devotee is dear to me, is what Krishna says to Arjuna. Okay, so
This is when he's talking about this sthit pragya. What is the lakshan of sthit pragya?
equanimity.
Yeah.
In English, it's equanimity.
Yeah.
And of course, the whole Bhagavad Gita is about that. But these particular shlokas are very, very powerful. Very, very powerful.
Precise. Yeah, very precise.
Okay. So because I've read the Bhagavad Gita from the childhood, and my mother knew the Bhagavad Gita 18 chapters by heart. She still knows it by heart. What a scholar she was. When she was in the 10th standard, she only studied till 10th standard, but she used to go to Gita classes with her mother. And she knew all the 18 chapters by heart, and she taught us the Bhagavad Gita before poetry. That she's that guru who's quietly doing her job at home and never claimed that she's one. So I always say in every, whenever I met these mentors and everything, I know my mother is my first guru. And I think every mother is in her own way. It is not necessarily the Bhagavad Gita, but it can be anything. Every mother is the first guru of the child. Then next comes the father, and then Mata Pita Guru Dev. Mata Pita Guru Dev. So once mother, father, then you have an external mentor or a guru. And then after that, there is a Dev that you worship. When you heal all of these four things, your relationship with these four, you've transcended. Because then there is nothing in between you and your divine. Not the mother, not the father, not the guru, not the Dev. Nothing is significant. It's just you and your divine. Nobody else between you. Because these are the strongest attachments in this reality. And so being free from attachment is not doing your duties. It's not being with your family. It's not going out and renouncing. My journey is different, so I'm not talking about me, forget me. But in general, while being with your family, while doing whatever you're doing, But this sam shatru cha mitre cha tatha manapamanayo shitosna sukh dukkheshu sam sanga vivarchita. Tulya ninda stutir mauni aniket, tulya ninda stutir mauni santushto yena kenachit aniketa sthirmatir bhakti man me priyonar. Now, if you can, I used to recite these words like every day. Now, what is like how you do clearing statements and someday you see things have changed, right? When you do Soul Simple, someday you see things have changed. Now, these are faster, quicker ways, a language that you can understand. So it's much easier to do this. That was a language that you couldn't understand, but still it has its own power. And whether it is that or a Guru Granth Sahib or a Quran or a Bible, I respect all religious books. I completely bow to the people who have written those because they are also equally great as much as any teacher or anybody we worship or we glorify today. Okay, the people who wrote those religious big books, how much effort they have put in to collect all of this and write this. The only thing that is not good in all of the religions is the interpretations and the interpreters who think that they are God. You're not God. If you are God, then everybody else is also God. And if everybody else is not God and everybody else is Tucha Prani and you are fucking God, just get off that pedestal. Because you don't have any right to be there. Because you have not even known what God is. Now, like,
But-
yeah, tell me.
Sorry to interrupt.
Nahi, bolo.
While you were talking about this 12th adhyay and the slok that you read,
Yeah.
I am seeing it from your mother's point of view and my mother's point of view. Like they felt everything they're doing is a dedication
To the divine.
to the divine, and so it's that's the reason they didn't voice it ever about
What is uncomfortable? What is hurting them? What
Yes,
is hurting the body? Everything is for Krishna.
yes.
And so all that I'm taking is I need to take it and be somehow. But my question to all of them would be, are you really being somehow? To really be somehow, you have to heal those things. And that is where the role of healing is so important. Because when you heal, then you can be in equanimity. Because then now I'm neutral. Now it doesn't hurt me. Now when I'm looking at my mother, none of that what she did is hurting me. When I was a kid, I was rebelling crazily. I was very angry with her. Am I angry today? Absolutely not. Do I absolute have immense gratitude for who she is? Because I healed those aspects of me which were not able to get who she is. And that is true for them also. They would have also not been able to get some parts of their parents and their father and their mother, why the father left, why he died so early. There must have been anger, there must have been sadness, there must have been everything at the age of 5, right? Which he never addressed. She must have felt pain to see her mother sleeping on the floor and walking barefoot every day and doing things for others. She must have felt that pain someday. But she never acknowledged.
Also, they never give a priority to their bodies.
Yeah. And that was the old school of thought that the body is nashwar, mitti mein mil jana hai, to isko importance dene ki zarurat nahi hai. The only importance is to the spiritual connection. But I can say it absolutely 100%. I know for a fact that without your body, you cannot have a great spiritual connection. It is all the big Mahavatar Babaji, Paramhams Yoganand, or whomever we have known as great spiritual leaders, they only could reach that level through their bodies. Yes, attachment to the body will go away one day, it will automatically go away. But not out of controlling, not out of suppressing, not out of telling that, beating your body and telling ye bakwas hai. You can't reject the body, keep the mind and go to God. sorry, not happening. Your mind and body and everything must be there completely with Krishna or Allah or Guru Nanak or Mahavir Swami, whoever it is.
Or Nirakar.
Nirakar, yeah, anything. Even you're an atheist. I feel that whether you're an atheist or a religious person or whichever religion you belong to, I know, I mean, if you have to say it in a decent word, it's consciousness. Consciousness is everywhere. And there is no copyright to consciousness. And that is the supreme divine consciousness, whatever you want to creator, supreme creator, you give him 1,000 names. Like practically Vishnu Sahasranam, this Sahasranam was, we have 1,000 names. Isn't that the same energy? When it is the same energy, whether it's Jesus Christ or whether it's Allah or whether it's Guru Nanak or Mahavir Swami, or these people transcended these the mind, body, soul concept. Everything became one. That ultimate level of oneness, to be able to reach there, first you have to acknowledge that there is a body, and I can't reject it. Right? And that's why, they lived healthy lives till they lived. The death can happen with anything. Death can happen with the cancer, or death can happen with something. Doesn't matter. But by that time, for them, that cancer won't matter. By the time, none of that mattered. By the time they are so evolved that now there is no hurt, there is no pain, there is actually absolute equanimity. But when you reach that stage, it's all perfect. But to reach that stage, you have to heal the hurts that you've done to your body, and through the emotions, all the stuck emotions. That is why are we reincarnating all of us again and again? Because incompletions, unfulfillment, desires unfulfilled. In the past, all that, has not been taken care of, you're coming back to relive and again experience and again change it and do something different. And there was a time when I was like, oh, okay, so the ultimate aim is to not reincarnate. Now I don't even say that. There is no ultimate aim. There is no ultimate aim. The aim is to be present in the here and now, totally be aware and present of what's going on in your life, reality, living. Acknowledge everything the way it is. Do what you can to change it. If you can't change it, just accept it. But come to a space that that equanimity somehow. And I think all religions talk about it. I mean, it's not just one religion. I know I've studied a little bit of Jainism. I've studied a little bit of everything. I've met Maulvis. I've spoken to Maulvis. I've read the Bible. I've spoken to people who follow the Bible hardcore. I was always interested in all these things as a kid. There was nothing else that used to interest me. And that is why my whole, I didn't have friends. I didn't have any interest in anything which was apart from these things. Yeah, but then of course I did all my whatever. I got married and I had children. I love my children. I adore actually my family members, everybody. And with all of that, but I also know that they are not mine. They have their own purpose to serve in the world.
Vandana, I realized that all the hurts with our parents, that generation, and our ancestors were with themselves only. They ill-treated themselves rather than the people around, because that was seva for them, and
Correct.
they willingly did it. Only thing that they neglected was themselves.
Yes, and that is what needs to change.
Yeah, and it's a lesson. I think it's a lesson for us.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I learned it big time that, and I told my mom also one day. I told my mom, when I came got completely to what Yuvraj told me that day, to understand that it took me years. But then I told my mom, आप जो कर रहे हो वो गलत नहीं है, वो बिल्कुल सही है. आप जो कर रहे हो आपका तरीका अलग है, मेरा तरीका अलग है. आप जो कर रहे हो वो सेवा भाव, आपका जो भाव है वो बहुत प्योर है. एंड जो rituals that she does, the puja part, the flowering, the stitching, and the everything that she does for the divine. I said कि आप ठाकुर जी के लिए जो भी कर रहे हो, मैं ठाकुर जी के बनाए हुए इंसान के लिए सब कर रही हूँ, उसी सेवा भाव के साथ. भाव एक ही है.
पर अपने हुए वो ठाकुर जी बैठे हैं, वो नहीं
That I realized it long back.
I am realizing it now. मुझे बोल रही थी, मैं इतनी सारी मेरे से गलतियां हैं, मैं भगवान कैसे हो सकती हूँ, मैं उसकी बूंद भी नहीं हूँ. Because
But फिर कहाँ है भगवान?
नहीं, अभी समझ में आता है. Because I look at the sky, I look at the sea a lot, and I say, जो तू है सो मैं हूँ.
Yeah. So, in 2012, I wrote this poem. I'll read it today. I think we'll end it over there. My relationship with the divine, okay? I hope I get it. Because this is just third time when this needs to be read. Okay? If I find it, I'll read it. Otherwise, we'll just kind of go. So the thing is that when I write these things, I don't remember them completely. I mean, I do remember partly, but I don't remember the whole thing. But when I'm writing it, I just write it like in fraction of seconds. I've written that poem. And it was a beautiful time and day when I wrote it. It was my son's birthday, and I had gone to a music concert, and I was seeing my son was not with me. He was in Ahmedabad, and my daughter was so happy to listen to Vishal Dadlani singing and dancing, and all children were dancing and laughing. And it was a moment of like absolute divinity. Everybody was laughing. Everybody was happy. Okay. And I was happy because that day it was my son's birthday. And in those days, I used to do soft skills training. So I did a workshop for kids on a very, very low price, like just like something that would be like a 2,000 bucks. I did it for like 125 rupees, Sawa so rupees, something like that. And those children are all happy. I was very happy. And so it was a very happy time for me. And then later on, we went to this music concert, and I love Hindi film music. And so I wrote that. And I'm just, I think I don't know how to find it on Facebook. Anyway, I'll see if I can remember it, and as much as I can remember it. So the title that I'd given was Main aur Mere Ishwar. Main aur Mere Krishna I wrote, and then I made it Ishwar because I didn't want it to be religious about one God or anything. जिंदगी से कुछ पल चुरा के तुम्हें करीब से देखा मैंने. प्रकृति के once again, जिंदगी से कुछ पल चुरा के तुम्हें करीब से देखा मैंने. मौसम की ठंडी. No, I'm not getting it. Anyway, forget it. I'll share it on the group later. But the thing is, when I wrote that poem, right, it was something which I never knew that I know something around this. It just came to me. Those words just came to me. And I even didn't know why I'm writing this. Okay. I had no idea that this means something. But after writing, I slowly, gradually started recognizing what this truly means. And yeah, I just remembered that I have put it on SoundCloud. So, and when I, you know, when I wrote that, I thought I'm already there, but I wasn't. Those were just words at that time. And later on, when I kept re-listening to it, when I kept doing it again and again, that was
Hey everyone. On the occasion of Krishna Jayanti, Janmashtami, Krishna's birthday, and my relationship with Krishna. What I wrote, this poem I wrote on 4th November 2012. There's a background story to it, but I'm not saying the story right now. Maybe someday, some other day. So yeah, here you go. मैं और मेरे कृष्ण, या मैं और मेरे ईश्वर, my relationship with the divine. जिंदगी से कुछ पल चुरा के तुम्हें करीब से देखा मैंने, संगीत के सुरों में सजा हुआ एक अद्भुत एहसास किया मैंने, अकेली सुनसान खाली राहों में प्रकृति के स्पर्श में तुमको पाया मैंने, मौसम की ठंडी हवाओं में, बारिश की चंद फुहारों में, भीड़ में लोगों के खिले हुए चेहरों में तुम्हारी आहट महसूस की मैंने, कहाँ नहीं हो तुम, हर जगह दिखाई दिए, फिर आईना जब देखा अपने आप में तुम दिखे, हाथों से चेहरा ढका तो लगा तुमको छुआ मैंने, ये वहम है दुनिया का कि मैं और तुम अलग हैं, कभी मुझ में तुमको और कभी तुझ में खुद को पूजा मैंने, देर से समझ आई बात क्योंकि ना समझ हूं, पर अगर ना समझ होने से इस तरह मिलते हो तुम, तो बारंबार ना समझी का वादा किया मैंने, तुम मिल गए जिस रास्ते पर चलते हुए, उस रास्ते को कभी ना छोड़ने का फैसला किया मैंने, अब कोई फर्क नहीं मेरे ईश्वर और मेरी इबादत में, जिंदगी इबादत और इबादत तुमसे मोहब्बत, मोहब्बत को जिंदगी बना के जिया मैंने, बड़ी अनोखी है ये जिंदगी मेरी. Hey everyone, on the
Okay.
occasion of Krishna Jayanti,
Sorry, I कुछ दब गया. So it ends with मोहब्बत को जिंदगी बना के जिया मैंने, बड़ी अनोखी है ये जिंदगी मेरी, क्योंकि तुमसे प्यार किया मैंने, क्योंकि तुमसे प्यार किया मैंने. That's where it ends.
So very beautiful. So very. I would like to hear it again. Maybe you said it on the.
Huh?
You can post it on the group.
I will post it on the group.
Beautiful words. Beautiful, beautiful words.
And it was exactly that what I experienced that day, because it
Yes.
was a music concert, children were laughing, there was such a huge crowd. When I was coming back home, it was drizzling, and it was, Srijan's birthday, and everything was like just so awesome that it just felt that this is God. For me, this is God.
So I just felt listening to you that when everybody says you're never alone, that's been my issue for a long time. So when you feel the touch of breeze and the raindrops and the beautiful sun and moon, these are all his presence. So when
Yes.
they are forever with you, you're never alone.
And you know that हाथों से चेहरे को ढका तो लगा तुमको छुआ मैंने. This is him. All that we are doing with our hands, like we say you are the doer, but do we actually believe? That means whatever I'm doing is his grace. And then if I can truly actually believe that, then nothing is right or wrong. Everything is perfect. It's all happening perfectly. If I don't let my mind come in between, my mind can be my greatest ally and my mind can be my greatest enemy. But then when I don't use the mind too much, and if I, connect to my body, connect to the divine, connect to every cell of my body where he resides in, every cell of my body, your body, in every cell of this universe, everywhere. If you can actually totally feel that presence everywhere, right? Then everything is just like you're just with him all the time, right? It's for me, it can be personally, it can be Krishna. I'm not preaching Hinduism or Krishna. That was the form that I saw as a kid. It can be formless, it can be some form, it can be no form. Doesn't matter. It's you. You are the divine. And you are the element of the divine. And when you don't honor you, you don't honor the element of divinity within you. And how can you ever take you for granted?
There's a beautiful bhajan ki line na, मेरा आपकी कृपा से सब काम हो रहा है,
करते हो तुम
आप
कन्हैया.
कन्हैया, मेरा नाम हो रहा है.
Yes.
तो अंदर बैठ के ही वो चला रहा है.
Absolutely. And it's not from outside, it's you. It's through you that he speaks to the world, through each one of us. Now, when we don't receive what he's telling, when we don't receive what our inner core being knows, that is when we are complicated. We are thinking so many things and we are, puzzled, confused, and everything. Yet, I would still say there's a divinity even in that. Yet, when you're so if morning I didn't get this thing, the cold or whatever I got, I wouldn't be talking all this, right? So he knows what has to be done for the message to reach to people. Whichever way it has to reach, it will reach. And my mom watches this YouTube every day. Only the morning call she watches, later on when she's free. Because morning, my dad and mom do the pranayam and everything. So how do I know she's watching every day? Once in a while, she'll call me and she'll tell, हाँ वो मैं सुनी थी, तू दादी माँ के बारे में बात कर रही थी. पूरा समझ में नहीं आता इंग्लिश में बोलती है तो. So I'm sure she will listen to this and this will heal her. That this acknowledgement and this, what I've said, right, out loud. When she listens to this, it doesn't matter whether she'll understand the English or not, whether she'll get what I'm saying or not, whether she cognitively gets it or not, but her soul will get it. And she'll be fine. I just have a sense that now I think the asthma won't stay long in her body. So how beautiful is it that we could be this gift when we choose to heal ourselves. We could be this gift to everybody in our universe. Choice, it's just choice. And I don't force anybody to do healing. I don't force anybody to do anything actually. I know everybody is on their own individual journey. I can only walk my path and people can get inspired and create their own path. Whatever their path be, whatever their pace be, whatever their direction be, whichever way they want to progress, whichever way, any which way if you all have to reach the mountaintop, from here you come, from here you come, from here you come, or from here you come, it's anyways you're going to reach here. Whether you're wearing shoes and trekking, or whether you're nange pair trekking, or whether you're having all the armor and guard and everything and then trekking, or whether you have the best equipments and you're trekking, still everybody has to come here. The only person who will never reach here is one who never started And the person who is the person who will never start, who's running around the mountain base and going on looking at everybody and criticizing, "Arey, idiot, this is not how you climb a mountain. Look at that person, what that person is doing. What are you doing, fucking?" The person who's round and round, running around the base of the mountain and criticizing everybody who's climbing is the only person who will never start and who will never reach. Because they don't even know that, oh, this mountain I also have to climb someday. So there I would just say, Jesus Christ, what Jesus Christ said, forgive them those who know not what they are doing. Right? So that's what, they are ignorant. There's no point in criticizing them or even thinking that they will get it someday. It's okay, they don't get it, they don't get it. People are okay. People can choose for themselves. People decide their destiny, and destiny once decided can be changed when they want to change it. I cannot change anybody's destiny. And I don't even need to, honestly. That's just the beauty of working on yourself on a regular basis. It's such a gift just by, if you don't do anything else but simply keep yourself fine, keep yourself healed, you're a gift. And whatever is the way of healing, that is why today I didn't do Soul's Temple. I mean, I did for myself, that is my way of healing. But you can heal simply by the touch of someone. You can heal simply by the touch of nature. You can heal simply by sitting in sunlight every day. You can heal by going into the ocean and taking a bath and coming out. You can just heal by any which way. There is no one way of healing.
You can even hug a tree.
Yes,
If you have
so
nobody
many
around.
ways. Hug trees, talk to animals, hug animals. There are million ways of healing. Healing is not fixed to one modality. It's not, modalities make it easier. It's like those tools that fasten your journey, that make your journey faster. That's about it. Cool. So thank you, people. And my breath and everything is like fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Manjari.
You're welcome.